Welcome to Bite Size Titans, the inaugural episode. This is a Bite Size Sports Network production. I am your host, James Schmeitz. We're going to be talking Titans all season, folks. 2 episodes a week. This is our season preview. A lot of hate going on out there for Tennessee this year. They're in a little bit of a transition phase. Derrick Henry's getting older. Tannehill's not had as good a season as last year as he did in the past. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins, who, depending on who you talk to, is washed up. We'll get to all that. First up, Tennessee does have a new general manager and offensive coordinator this year. GM John Robinson was fired midseason last year after A.J. Brown torched Tennessee and replaced with Ran Carthon. He comes over from the 49ers organization, obviously a very successful organization. And then Tim Kelly replaced Todd Downing. He was on staff last year, I believe, as an analyst or position coach. He's been on staff for 2 years. He was the offensive coordinator for the Texans when Hopkins and Deshaun Watson were there. They had some pretty solid offenses. So it's going to be a little bit different offensively this year. The Titans are talking about being more balanced, less dependent on the run, which I still think they will obviously hang their hat on Derrick Henry, but they're hoping we have a few more weapons this year. So first off today, we're going to go through the depth chart, offense, defense, special teams, go through some key injuries Tennessee's dealing with right now. And then we will do our season prediction. I'm going to go through every game. I have not done it yet. I've been waiting to do it just to do it live and see how it turns out and see if what I think in my head, how I think we're going to do is true to what I see on paper. So we're going to have some fun here. We're going to start with the depth chart. I'm going to get it pulled up here first. There we go. This is the Titans. It says unofficial. It's the closest thing to have an official depth chart. This one is updated as of September 4th. So this is yesterday, I believe. Yep, this is yesterday. We're recording this Tuesday, September 5th. So let me get this zoomed in here for you so you can see this. Start on offense, obviously. It's the most important part of the Titans season. See if they can score anything this year after averaging about 19 points a game last year. Offensively, Tennessee retooled their whole offensive line. The offensive line was a big problem last year. They replaced everyone but one. Only one starter returned, Aaron Brewer, and he is switching positions too. He's going from left guard to center. So you're going straight down the line. Left tackle Andre Dillard is new. He was signed over from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a first-round draft pick and never really panned out there. He got passed up on their offensive line. Left guard is newly minted Tennessee Titan Peter Skoronski. He was drafted out of Northwestern, one of the top-rated linemen in the draft. He did play left tackle in college, so he is switching to left guard. I think long-term left tackle is his position, but for this team this year, at least this year, he's going to be playing left guard. Everything we're hearing about him through training camp, through the preseason, is he is as bit of everything they expected, which is great. At center, you got Aaron Brewer. Like I said, he is moving from left guard. He's a little undersized for guard. The hope is that by moving to center, he can kind of hide the size deficiencies. He's freaky athletic, really athletic, so hopefully center works out a little better for him. Right guard, you got Daniel Brunskill. He was signed over from the 49ers, so Carthon has a lot of familiarity with him. He started a bunch of games the last 2 years. I didn't write down how many, but he was their starting right guard, so he came over. He's replacing Nate Davis, who signed with the Bears. Sound like I was kind of worried about Nate Davis leaving, but from everything we've heard this summer, it doesn't seem like him and Vrabel got along too well. So just part of it is what it is. Hopefully Daniel Brunskill can fill that position. And then at right tackle, we have Chris Hubbard. This one's the right tackle spot's the goofy spot. Returning starter Nicholas Petit-Ferrier is suspended for the first 6 games because the NFL's gambling policy. So he would have been the second guy on the offensive line that would be a returning starter. However, he's out for the first 6 games. So Chris Hubbard is getting the first crack at this. They've run a couple different guys through there. Of note here, very important, is the backup at right guard and right tackle. Hopefully very important is Dylan Radunes. He is out of North Dakota State. He is I believe it's third-year man now. He tore his ACL late last season. He was doing fill-in, kind of looked like he was starting to figure it out, and then tore his ACL. So to have him on this list, on the depth chart, is a huge positive because most people, including myself, assumed he would be on the PUP list to start the year, that he'd be out the first 4 games. To see him on there is awesome. He just got activated not too long ago. It's going to take a little bit of time to get him going, but even see him on there is great. And he may, who knows, he may end up playing that right tackle spot. He's got a lot of potential. He was a second-round draft pick. Hasn't panned out so far. So we'll see. We'll see if he gets any run here. Ryan Tannehill returns as the Titans quarterback. Tough 22-23. Obviously, it was a tough season for Tennessee all around. He missed 5 games with ankle injuries. I blame it on a terrible offensive line and them just sacking him getting hit, people diving at his ankles. His ankles just got rolled up on. So I blame it a lot on our offensive line. The $1 million question is, can he bounce back from that subpar last year, 22-23 season, and play more like the 2019-2020 season where he had great success? A lot of passing touchdowns, not a lot of interceptions. Now, the receiving corps is better. We'll talk about that than it was last year. So there are some weapons, so hopefully he does have a little bit better year. His successor is currently on the team. Don't really know who it is. If I scroll this over, you'll see Malik Willis / Will Levis are listed as the backup quarterbacks. We don't really know who is the backup. I guess we'll find out this weekend. So I think if Tennessee does not have the season they think they're going to have, you're going to see them this year. And this could be the last run for Tannehill if we don't have a good season. Obviously, back at running back is future Hall of Famer Derrick Henry, coming off a 1,500-yard season, 1,538 yards, 13 touchdowns last year. Also had a career-high 398 receiving yards. Had a huge year for him last year. Obviously, he was the only Titans offense. They did draft Tajay Spears out of Tulane. I think he's going to take a majority of the passing work. He's a little better receiver, very explosive player, looked really, really explosive in the preseason. I think you're going to see him a lot on passing downs. And also, he'll get some rushing attempts, but obviously this is going to be Derrick Henry's offense to carry, which also could in turn lead to a more explosive and rested Henry. His yards per carry last year were down from 5.4 in 2020 to 4.4 last year. So just less than 2 years ago, it was a yard more. So hopefully a little bit more rested Derrick Henry can lead to a higher yards per carry. You've got 2 players on offense that are expected to make a huge jump, 2 second-year guys in wide receiver Treylon Burks and tight end Chig Okonkwo. Treylon Burks had a really impressive offseason starting last spring. He was in better shape. He didn't have the asthma issues. He looked a lot better. He did, however, get hurt in joint practices with the Vikings. That was quite scary. The injury looked way worse than it turned out to be. It ended up being an LCL sprain. I thought he blew out his knee. It looked awful. Thankfully, it wasn't. And he's back practicing already. I can't believe how quick he came back. His first day in practice, he jumped like 5 feet in the air to make a catch. I'm like, whew, a little worrisome, but got to see him out there. It's very important that he's out there. We have to have him out there. But I believe from all intents and purposes, I think he's all good to go. And then the other second-year player expected to make a big jump is tight end Chig Okonkwo, the advanced stats darling, who had great stats in a limited role last year. He's going to have a much more prominent role this year in Tim Kelly's offense. He has to be out there. He's one of the best playmakers we have. He's got to be on the field. And then Tennessee's biggest offseason signing came last month. I guess now it's 2 months ago, already September, is wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins comes over from the Cardinals. Titans signed him to a 2-year deal. Only played 9 games last year. However, stats would have led Tennessee across the board. He had 64 receptions, 717 yards, averaged 79.67 yards per game. He had 3 TDs, had a long of 33. He was suspended for the first 6 games last year for violating the NFL's PED policy. If he had those other 6 games, probably would have got to 1,000 yards. The real question is, what does he have left? He hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since 2020. Probably would have had it last year had he not been suspended for those first 6 games. So I think he's still got. I think him and Treylon Burks are going to form a dynamic duo this year. I think Treylon Burks is actually going to lead this team in receiving yards, and DeAndre is going to be second. But just by having him on the offense, it pulls a lot of pressure away from, the two guys that needed to make a big jump, Treylon Burks and Chigon Conquo. Without him, and it put a lot of pressure on those two young guys. And I think they're capable, but neither of them have really proven it in big doses over the course of the season. They got small bits and pieces, and especially with Chig, like it looks like all the signs and the stats point towards a big jump, but until they do it, you don't know. So I just think having him around will really help those two in their development and take a little bit of pressure off them. The offensive keys, I think, for Tennessee this season, number one, number two, number three is the offensive line. Can they give Tannehill time? Can he not get crushed like he did last year? Give him time to get the ball out to the playmakers, to Hopkins, to Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, Treylon Burks. Can you get those guys in space? And then can they create running lanes for Derrick Henry? He had 1,500 yards rushing last year. However, he had nowhere to go. Like he got hit in the backfield a lot. He was talked about his yards per carry being down. It's not all his fault. It's not just the aging coming in. Our offensive line was absolute trash last year. So if they can create running lanes for him and get Tannehill time, this offense has a chance to be, I think, pretty dynamic. A lot of people don't believe it. I do. I think Tennessee's offense is very, very intriguing. The second-year jumps that I've mentioned from Chig and Treylon Burks, they're very, very important. If those guys make some big second-year jumps, this offense took off. We're going to be in really good shape. The third one is, can Derrick Henry keep outrunning Father Time? He's slowed down a little bit. His stats aren't as ultra efficient as they were just 2 years ago in 2020. But obviously, he looks the part. He is Derrick Henry. If there's anybody that's going to do it, he's him. He's a physical runner. Can he outrun Father Time another year? Can they get another 1,500 yards out of him? And can he be more efficient, I think, is the more important question. He's got a lot of historical numbers this year he's going to break. He's out. I don't think he can become Tennessee's all-time leading touchdown scorer, but he's got like a mildly outside chance. I think he'd have to have a mega year. But if he has 10 touchdowns, I believe he's one of the only running backs ever to do it in consecutive seasons. I got to look up exactly what his stats are here. Let's see. I didn't have them pulled up. Let's see. I didn't write this one down. I knew it was important. So he's had 10 touchdowns in. It's mind-blowing that he was only a second-round draft pick, that he wasn't first. He's had 10 touchdowns in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 straight seasons, going for his 6th straight. It's very rarely be done. It would be a huge, huge deal. So come full circle there. Can he continue to outrun Father Time? We shall see. And then what does D-Hop have left? How much can he give this offense? Can he be the DeAndre Hopkins of old? Can he get 1,000 yards? Is he going to be more of a decoy, help get Treylon and Chig open? His practice video has looked awesome. It looks like him and Tannehill have a heck of a connection, but we will see. We don't know. We just don't have any idea exactly what we'll get from him until this weekend. We won't know until Sunday. We'll have to see on Sunday. Next up here, we're going to jump over to the defensive side. Tennessee should theoretically have an elite defense this year. They are led on defense by 2 superstars. Jeffrey Simmons at the D-tackle spot, fresh off signing a 4-year, $90 million extension in the offseason. Was great to see that get done without not too much drama. There wasn't too much drama on that one. That was got it done. Rand got his first big signing done. I've seen a lot of the problems, specifically with Chris Jones and the Chiefs this offseason, on getting a new deal done. So it's awesome to see Tennessee. They got that one done early. Didn't have to worry about it at all. The other superstar on this defense is Kevin Byard. His offseason was a little bit different. A lot of rumors, speculation. Was he coming back? What was going to happen with him? Good news is they got it done. He did take a pay cut. He, as a team player, took a pay cut so they could sign DeAndre Hopkins. So I didn't think he was going to go anywhere, but it just got a little goofy. A lot of rumors. You didn't know what was true. There was one point there was talk about he requested a trade. So glad to have that one done. Glad to have him back. The other big one returning is Pro Bowler Harold Landry, coming off an ACL tear, missed all of last season, was a Pro Bowler 2 seasons ago. So the big question with him is how healthy will he be? How quick can he get back to that pre-ACL tear form? Will it take a year? Hopefully, for the sake of this defense, it doesn't take long. This defense could be fierce, and he would be a huge part of it. He is predicted to start right out the gate. He's good to go week 1, so that's great to see. Tennessee does have a slew of new linebackers in their core. Gone are stalwarts David Long and Zach Cunningham. They've brought over Azeez El-Shaair from the 49ers. He'll be starting out there for him. Another Niner guy that Rand Carthon has had plenty of experience with. And then they also signed Arden Key from Jacksonville. Arden Key has had a monster, for everything I've read, has had a monster preseason in practice and in games. A little bit of preseason games he played, but mainly his practice, he was tearing it up. Very, very excited for him. I'm expecting a huge year for him. Jack Gibbons he's going to start at inside linebacker. He was on the team, second-year guy. Rashad Weaver is going to play a ton as well. Great fun story for this defense is Caleb Murphy making the team. I think he had 4 sacks in the preseason. We got him. He's over here listed. Third string outside linebacker behind Rashad Weaver. He is an undrafted free agent out of Ferris State, a D2 school. He led every level of college football last year in sacks, so it's awesome to see him make it. It was with the preseason, he had everybody expected it, but just still to see it is awesome. The Titans did bring over a new cornerback to start opposite Christian Fulton. Sean Murphy Bunting is coming over from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I kind of froze there. Sorry about that. The Titans secondary was one of the worst in the league last year on a numbers basis, stats basis. However, it looks can be deceiving. Amani Hooker missed a ton of games last year. Christian Fulton missed a ton of games. Obviously, for Tennessee, a lot of the team missed a lot of games last year. There's a lot of missed games across the board. So hopefully with an improved pass rush and healthy guys in the secondary, will be a lot better. That's going to push Roger McCreary into the third cornerback role, the nickel role. Elijah Molden's I think he's going full-time safety, but he will play some sub packages. He'll play corner too. Other guys of note on this defense, Danico Autry back for another year. I think he played 1 preseason game and had a sack. He's been a stalwart for this defense. He's awesome. Been such a great signing from Indianapolis. T.R. Tart's back at nose tackle. Naquan Jones back. The interesting one is Monty Rice is backing up Jack Gibbons. Everybody thought he was going to take that job, and he didn't get it done. So interesting there. And then a really late signing here is Travis Gibson. He was cut by the Bears, and when the Titans and Bears played in the preseason, he had a couple sacks against him, so he added more firepower on that pass rush. I think this defense as a whole has a chance to be stellar. I think they can be very, very good. That front is one of the best in the league. It's a top 5 front. Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry are unstoppable. Then you add Harold Landry, Arden Key, Azeez, Tart, Rashad Weaver, Gibson get out of man. That's a dangerous front. This defense is going to keep Tennessee in a lot of games. If that offense struggles, we'll still be in games because this defense is loaded. The keys, the big key is the health. Can they stay healthy? Christian Fulton missed a ton of games last year. Elijah Molden missed pretty much the whole season. Amani Hooker missed a lot of games. Hooker and Fulton are 2 of your most important secondary guys behind Byard, and they've missed tons and tons of games. We played a lot of young guys last year. Roger McCreary played. He played almost – it might have been the most snaps in the NFL defensively last year. He had a crazy number. He was a rookie last year. Trey Avery, I think, was an undrafted rookie. You're talking about guys that weren't McCreary was expected to play a lot, but Trey Avery was not expected to play a lot. And the injury bug just zapped this defense of what they did have 2 years ago. The playoff defense. They just lost with all the injuries. They lost a lot of firepower last year. So the first key for this defense is, can they stay healthy? Obviously, also Harold Landry missed all last year too. So you're talking about 4 starters that missed extreme amounts of times last year, and it really showed at times. Second key is, how does Harold Landry look? 2 years ago when we saw him, he was terrorizing Joe Burrow in the playoffs, and he missed all last year. And he signed a big contract with us last offseason, and then immediately got hurt after him. To no fault of his own, nothing you can do about that. But how does he bounce back and how's he look this year is the question. And then with all these pieces getting healthy, putting them back together, can this pass defense improve? We had the worst passing defense in the NFL last year. We gave up 274 yards per game. That's atrocious. Just absolutely terrible. You're not going to win many games. Obviously, Tennessee didn't. If these guys can stay healthy, if Hooker can stay healthy, Fulton, if Landry can get back to who he was, and then these new guys mesh, Arden Key, Aziz, that front's going to take a lot of pressure off the back end. This defense has a chance to be elite. Like, I'm not going to back down from that. They have an absolute chance to be elite. We'll see if it happens, but I believe in this defense, man. There's going to be a lot of low-scoring games this year. This Titans defense is going to terrorize some teams this year, man. They're going to be fun to watch. And then on the special teams front, obviously Ryan Stonehouse, our all-world punter, returns. Hopefully he needs to get a little bit better control on his punts, but man, he's 50, 60, 70 yards. Like, he was an awesome find last year. Kicker spot. We recently traded a 7th-round pick for Nick Folk to the Patriots. The hope is that he fixes the kicking woes. Last year for the Patriots, he was 32 of 37, 86.5%, 32 of 35 extra points. He has missed 11 extra points in the last 3 years, which is it's weird, and I don't like that. It's a little scary, especially considering we lost the game last year. Bullock missed a field goal to win it, but I don't like points being left out there. We struggled with kickers for a long time now. It's been a long time since we've had a really consistent kicker, probably since Rob Baronis, and it just needs to be fixed. Maybe the thing's a little worrisome is that he can't, at least for the Patriots last year, he didn't get it to the end zone on kickoffs. There was a lot of kickoff returns. The Patriots had one of the worst kickoff return fronts in the league last year. So that's a bit worrisome because Ryan Stonehouse cannot kick off. Variables already came out and said that he can't. So a little worrisome there. And then our kick returner and punt returner right now looks like it's going to be Karis Jackson, the rookie out of Georgia. He was one of the last receivers kept on the roster, and it was pretty much all, we believe it's all for being the punt returner, kick returner. That's why he was kept on this team. It's where he provides value. Kyle Phillips has done some work back there, but we'll get to him here in a second. He is hurt and out for the first 4 games of the season. So there is our depth chart look, our look at the offense, defense, and special teams. Next up, we are going to take a glance here. If I get this, the major injuries for Tennessee, the biggest one they've got right now is Kyle Phillips is on IR. He is out for at least the first 4 games. He got hurt on a punt return in preseason. It's been tough sledding for him. He had the big game, first game last year against the Giants, 6 receptions, I think 66 yards. He looked like he was going to be Tannehill's favorite target. And then he's been hurt pretty much ever since. So it's tough. What do you do? Hopefully he gets healthy. He'd be a great slot complement to Burks and Chig and D-Hop, but we'll see. He's out for at least 4 games. Treylon Burks is the one that was really scary, but it's not long-term. He looks like he's going to play week 1 and with an LCL injury. The other big one's Caleb Farley is on the PUP list with back surgery in the offseason. No idea what will happen with him this season. He's been very injury prone since coming to the league. He also had a serious incident in the offseason with the house that he owned exploding and his father passing away in it. So it's been tough sledding for him. So hopefully he can get healthy and everything works out for him and get back. But as of right now, he's on the PUP list. No idea what that looks like when he'll be back. We'll see there. Just hopefully he gets healthy. Mainly, I just hope he's okay with everything that's going on. It's bad situation he's had to deal with. So next up, the last thing we're going to look at is we are going to take a gander at the Titans schedule. I'm going to predict this thing. I got to get it pulled up here. I have not done this yet. There we go. That's what I want. I haven't done this yet, not once this year. I've looked at the teams. I know who we play. I have not done this. I've purposely not done this. I wanted to see how I thought this would come out. So week 1, we travel to New Orleans. I have looked at this game, and I firmly believe Tennessee is extremely looked down upon. I think the Saints are 3-point favorites. I think Tennessee's going in there winning that game. Obviously, they've got Derek Carr, Chris Olave. Can Michael Williams come back? Alvin Kamara is suspended for that game. Saints got a pretty good defense. I think Tennessee goes in and right out the gate wants to prove that last year was a fluke and they want to show everybody they're still around. I will go say, I think Titans over under this year is 7.5 wins. I'm pretty sure I'm going to come over on this one. Week 2, Chargers come to town. I will be at that game. That'll be the first game I am going to be at this year for Tennessee. I have no faith in that one. I think Justin Herbert and those receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and I believe it's Quentin Johnson, they're going to come in. Austin Eckler. It's a high-powered offense. I don't think Tennessee has a shot in that game. I will be there, which sucks, but I just don't have a good feeling in it. So I got them 1-1 now. Next up, it'll be Titans go to Cleveland. I am not a believer in Deshaun Watson. I'm not a believer in those guys. I don't think they're going to get it figured out. And if they do, Tennessee's defense is so good, they're going to keep them in a lot of games. But I got Tennessee moving to 3-1 after week 3. Week 4, the stupid Bengals are back in town. Why can we not have them on our schedule? Tennessee's kryptonite is the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. Obviously lost the playoffs to him 2 years ago, lost to him at home last year, going to lose to him again, 0-3 against Burrow the last 3 years. He is kryptonite for Tennessee. I can't stand him, but I can't bet against that. It's going to be 2-2. Then you've got the Titans going to Indianapolis in early October. I will also be at that game. I've got tickets to that one. Colts are no good this year. Titans are going to destroy them. And Jim Irsay is going to be so mad. He's just always mad about it. So it's great. Love it. We're gonna beat up on them. I live in Indiana, so anytime we beat the Colts, I just bring it on. I love beating up on the Colts. Week 6 is technically a home game for the Titans, but it is in London against the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to be really good this year. I don't think Tennessee can keep up with them. Obviously, Odell Beckham, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman on the outside. New offensive coordinator. Lamar's got a lot more say. He's got his big contract now, too. I think the Ravens are going to be really good this year. And going across the pond, I don't have a ton of faith in that game as well. And we get an early season bye. I don't know if I like that. I wish it was a little bit later, but such is life. Tennessee coming off the bye gets former offensive coordinator Art Smith in the Atlanta Falcons. Again, another team. They got some pieces. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Cordell Patterson still floating around there. However, the quarterback is a huge question. Desmond Ridder, he didn't look terrible, but last year, but I don't think he's it. Now for my fantasy team, I hope he is, because I had a terrible draft last weekend where I ended up with him and Kenny Pickett. So that's a little scary, but I don't think he gets it done against Tennessee. That gives us Tennessee moving to 4-0, which also I have Tennessee or 4-3, currently 1-3 at home, 3-0 on the road. So here we go, boys. Week 9, off to Pittsburgh, another team I'm not a believer in, which this is kind of funny. The quarterbacks in that league I drafted last weekend are Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder, back-to-back. This is a short week for the Titans, Sunday, Thursday for both teams. I think a short week will favor Tennessee with just a short stay. Favors Tennessee because of their defense, really. Tennessee's defense is dominant, and with Pittsburgh not having as much time to prepare for them, that favors Tennessee. Then you get to week 10, Titans at Bucks. Bucks are no good this year, rocking out Baker Mayfield. Could see this. They have Mike Evans problems right now, contract dispute. I could see them just being no good. I could see them being a top 5 pick this year. So moves us to 6-3 for Tennessee, 5-0 on the road, 1-3 at home. Jesus, Jim, we got so I believe. So we'll just keep going with it. Then you got week 11, Jags, Titans is a huge game. Be for control of the division right away. I'm going to give it to the Jags. I think round 1 will go to the Jaguars. They're still out to prove that. They'll be out to prove they're no fluke. Tennessee's going to be trying to prove that they're not done. However, I think week 1 will go to the Jags. So that gets us Tennessee 6-4, 1-1 in the division. Week 12, another rookie quarterback. Got Bryce Young, Titans defense is going to ball in there. This might be one of the few games right now the Titans are actually favored in. They don't have many weapons after trading away DJ Moore, Miles Sanders in the backfield. The receivers are an aging Adam Thielen. I think it's Jonathan Mingo is one of the others. Bryce Young's going to be really good, but he's not going to be very good against Tennessee this day. Gets Tennessee to 7-4. Then our second round against the terrible Indianapolis Colts, another season sweep. Jim Irsay is going to be real mad again. Colts just aren't any good this year. Gets Tennessee to 8-4. Then we get the Monday Night Football game against the Dolphins. And as long as Tua is healthy, I think they're fantastic as well. Don't think Tennessee gets it done there. I think they'll lose that Monday night game. If Tua is healthy and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they're really, really good. Week 14, I think it's a little early for Jalen Ramsey to be back on defense from his meniscus tear, but maybe not. He'll be back sometime this year. That could be around the time there. Wouldn't be good for Tennessee either. Week 15, first round against Texans and another rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud, another team that just doesn't have any offensive firepower this year. Their receivers pre-DeAndre Hopkins were worse than Tennessee's. They were one of the few position groups at receiver that people thought were worse. So they're no good. We're going to sweep them this year. That's the first game. The second one's coming. So that gets us to 9-5. Week 16 is where I've struggled. I looked at this game when glancing and kind of thinking about it. It's in Tennessee. It's going to be cold. It'll be December. Seahawks play in the cold. I'm going to give it to Pete Carroll. I think their offense is pretty good. They got probably the best trio of receivers in the league, and DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then the recently drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think they're really good. You got Kenneth Walker in the backfield, Geno back out there. I think their defense is better than last year. So I'm going to give that one to the Seahawks. It gets us to 9-6. Then round 2 against the Texans. That gets us to 10-6. The good thing for Tennessee this year is they play a lot of rookie quarterbacks. They play C.J. Stroud twice for the Texans. They play Anthony Richardson twice for the Colts. They play Bryce Young. So they play the top 3 quarterbacks drafted this year. And then, obviously, we have the 4th one in Will Levis. So I think that's going to really help our record. And then we get Jaguars Week 18. I think Tennessee wins it. I think you get a split of the AFC South at 5-1, them and the Jags. I'm a believer. I didn't do the Jags record on here, so the 11-6 there was pre-populated. I just did Tennessee's. I think they'll both go 5-1 in division. I think that game at the end, it could be a game where the Jags have got like their playoff berths wrapped up. Tennessee's fighting for a wild card spot, and Tennessee could be playing, and Jags might not be playing. Now, by the way, this rolled out. You got them both 11-6, so they both would be playing. But I'm a lot more bullish on the Titans this year than most teams and most people are. This would give them, let's see here, 11-6, 5-1 in the division, 7-5 in conference, 5-4 at home, 6-2 on the road, 8-0 against teams with losing records, 2-4 against playoffs teams. Tennessee does like the 7th easiest schedule. That really helps them, works out in their favor. This would put them 8th in the conference, which I think is just outside the playoffs, if I remember right. Yeah, 8th. So it depends a lot on what other similar teams do, how they fare. I think Tennessee is a playoff team. I really do. I think they're going to sneak in. But even in my mock here, they didn't get in. They got in at 8. 8 would put them just right out. So I think Tennessee's a playoff team. I've got them at 11-6. We'll see how this falls out. This one's got some big-time records for the Bills, Jets, Bengals, Chiefs. Chargers are good. So some of those games, I don't necessarily consider them coin flips, but those big games, the Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, the Jags twice, they got to be able to steal some of those. The Dolphins, Seahawks, they got to steal some of those games. But they got a really easy schedule. They got 5 games against rookie quarterbacks, which really, really helps Tennessee. So my final prediction, Tennessee 11-6, 5-1 in the division, 7-5 in conference. I think they're a playoff team. We'll see. I believe the Titans team is much better than people think they are. I don't think this offense has got one more good year in them, especially after adding DeAndre Hopkins. So I am a believer. I am a huge believer in Tennessee. Obviously, homer, but is what it is. Obviously, I wore my 2021 playoff shirt. It obviously didn't end well, but we were the 1 seed, and right now that's all I can hang my hat on. So that's all she wrote today, guys. Thank you for joining me on Bite Size Titans. You'll be able to catch us here twice a week doing recaps and previews. We have multiple bite-sized shows going. Bite-sized Vikes came out today. Bite-sized Pittsburgh should be coming out. There's a Colts show. Boo, Kev. Boo, Kev. We got a bunch of different ones coming out, so please watch all those. You can also catch me live every Thursday at 9 p.m. talking NBA on the Bounce Bite-Size flagship program. And then you can also catch me every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on Han Shot First, a dweeb Star Wars podcast where me and Kev and John are talking Ahsoka right now, talking live reactions, talking a lot of Star Wars stuff. One of my favorite shows we do. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, share this. You can catch us on Spotify as well. As always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, tighten up.